My sister looked me in the eye and said, "You're not part of this family." Everyone laughed except me. That was the night everything changed. I'm Natalie, 30 years old. A software engineer who's paid every bill, planned every celebration, and still was never enough. For years, I thought if I worked harder, they'd finally see me. But at my parents' 35th anniversary, after I spent weeks planning, and $6,000 from my savings, my own sister cut me out with one sentence. I set my glass down. My hands were shaking, but my voice wasn't. I said something that silenced the entire backyard. My mom's face went pale. My dad froze mid-sip. And my sister, she couldn't speak. If you've ever been dismissed by your own family, you'll understand what happened next. Because that night, I finally stopped begging to belong. Growing up in Raleigh, I was always the quiet one. The invisible one. While Vanessa sparkled like sunlight, I faded into the wallpaper. At the dinner table, Mom would rave about her, Vanessa's hairstyle, her smile, her charm. Dad would nod proudly, eyes glowing. And me? Straight A's, perfect grades, never missed a class. Still invisible. By 16, I stopped trying to impress them. If they wouldn't see me, I'd build my own worth. That was the year everything at home cracked. Dad lost his job. His company downsized overnight. Bills stacked like bricks on the kitchen counter. Mom's voice turned sharp from worry. Vanessa complained about not getting new clothes. And I listened through the thin walls at night, hearing them argue over money, while pretending to sleep. That's when I made a promise to myself. I'd never depend on anyone. I'd never beg for help. So I studied harder. Stayed up till dawn with textbooks and cold coffee. When the world outside my door fell apart, I built my own inside my mind. The effort paid off. A full scholarship to NC State. Tech program, competitive elite. I still remember the look on Dad's face when I told him. He smiled, proud for once, but it faded in seconds, replaced by worry. How will you manage so far from home? Mom sighed. You'll miss Vanessa's graduation. Even my biggest victory became a disappointment to them. So I packed my bags quietly, leaving Raleigh for college, promising myself I'd return as someone they couldn't ignore. At school, I built a new version of me. Focused, determined, unshakable. Every success felt like proof that maybe one day they'd finally see me. But deep down, I knew something bitter. Some people only notice you when they need something. And I was about to learn that lesson the hard way. College was my escape. A new world where no one knew my family's hierarchy. No golden child. No comparisons. Just me. I buried myself in code, in late-night projects, in the rhythm of achievement. For the first time, effort equaled recognition. Professors praised my work. Peers asked for help. I felt seen, finally. I graduated at 22, a software engineer with a job offer waiting. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stability, something we'd never had at home. I rented a small apartment in Raleigh and promised myself I'd build something real. At first, I thought things would change. Dad had found another sales job, unstable but better than nothing. Mom stayed home. Vanessa freelanced as a graphic designer, but her work looked more like vacations and shopping sprees. I visited often, bringing groceries, paying bills just this once. When Mom mentioned her car insurance was overdue, I transferred the money instantly. When Dad's transmission failed, I covered the repair. When Vanessa couldn't make rent, I wired $500, then $1,000. This is family, I told myself. Family helps each other. Except family never thanked me. Vanessa would roll her eyes. Miss Hotshot, she'd say, smirking. Mom added her sting. You work too much, Natalie. You should think about marriage before it's too late. Dad stayed quiet, his silence almost worse than their words. Each payment felt heavier, like I was buying my place at their table. 8 years passed that way, me providing, them taking. Every dollar came with a small hope that maybe this time they'd be proud. Promotions came. Raises came. I bought better clothes, took short vacations alone. But every success felt muted. Because back home, I was still the useful one. Not the daughter, not the sister. Just the safety net. Then came the idea. Their 35th wedding anniversary. Maybe that could change everything. A backyard celebration. String lanterns. Southern food that felt like childhood. A gift that spoke love. A chance to belong again. I poured myself into the planning, late nights comparing caterers, measuring tables, designing centerpieces. Vanessa offered nothing. When I asked for help, she scoffed. "You've got it handled, don't you, Natalie?" Her words stung, but I pushed on. If I made this perfect, they'd have to see me. Have you ever tried so hard just to be noticed and ended up feeling smaller instead? If you've been through that, you're not alone. I spent nearly $6,000. Every dollar was hope disguised as decoration. When the night came, I stood beneath the glowing lanterns, heart full of quiet faith. But the family I tried to hold together was already waiting to break me apart. The night of the anniversary shimmered like a promise. The backyard glowed under strings of warm lanterns. White linens. Southern dishes steaming with comfort. Laughter blending with old songs from a portable speaker. Guests smiled, glasses clinking softly. Mom beamed in her pale blue dress. Dad looked proud, shaking hands, laughing. And for once, I let myself breathe. I thought maybe this was it. Maybe they'd finally see me. I checked the food, made sure the wine was chilled for the toast. Every detail whispered care. Every piece of it was love I'd never said out loud. Then she arrived. Vanessa. Late, of course. In a bright red dress, glowing like she owned the night. She greeted everyone like the star of the show. Barely glanced at me. I smiled anyway. "Hey," I said softly. She smirked. "Still playing hostess? How cute." Her tone was honeyed venom. I ignored it, refilling drinks, keeping the celebration flowing. Dad pulled me aside. "This is wonderful," he said, his voice low, almost proud. That tiny moment, it made every late night worth it. But Vanessa wasn't done. She hovered near me, her wine glass tilting in her hand. When a neighbor asked about my job, she laughed too loudly. "Oh, Natalie's all about her big tech life." No time for a real one though, right? The laughter around us faded into discomfort. Mom said nothing. Her silence screamed approval. My chest tightened, but I kept smiling, pretending her words didn't sting. I wanted peace. Just one peaceful night. Then came the toast. I stood, glass trembling slightly, but my voice steady. "Mom, Dad, this is for your 35 years together. This furniture set, it's from all of us." I turned to Vanessa, hoping she'd play along. She didn't. Her lips curled. Her voice sliced through the warm night. "All of us?" she said loud enough for everyone. "You're not part of this family, Natalie. You're just showing off with your money." The world stopped. Utensils froze midair. Laughter died instantly. Mom's smile vanished. Dad's eyes widened. Every guest stared. 8 years of quiet giving crashed inside me all at once. All the bills I'd paid. All the effort. All the silence. It all shattered. I set my glass down gently. The sound echoed. My voice was calm. "Perfect," I said. "Then don't ask me for money again." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Vanessa's face twisted, her arrogance cracking. I turned to the caterer. "Split the bill for this party," I said clearly. "They can cover their share." Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad looked like he'd been struck. No one moved. No one spoke. I picked up my purse, heels clicking on the patio stone. The night air was sharp, but freeing. In one moment, I stopped being their provider and started being myself. Silence followed me home. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that hums with everything left unsaid. I dropped my keys on the counter. The echo filled my apartment. For the first time in years, I wasn't their lifeline. I was free and terrified. The phone buzzed an hour later. Dad. His voice was soft, hesitant. Natalie, I'm sorry. We didn't mean for things to go that way. I stared at the ceiling. His apology came like rain after a drought. Too late, too little. He said they loved me. That they never meant to hurt me. But love without respect is just noise. I thanked him, voice steady, and hung up. Minutes later, Mom called. You didn't have to walk out, she said, her tone wavering. Vanessa was out of line, but we're family. Family. That word used to anchor me. Now it burned. You were there, Mom, I whispered. And you said nothing. Her silence was the answer I already knew. I ended the call. Vanessa never reached out. Not a text. Not an apology. That night I lay awake replaying her words. You're not part of this family. Each echo carved deeper. But under the ache was something new. Strength. A quiet rising strength. The next morning, I booked a weekend trip. Asheville. Mountains, quiet. Air that didn't carry their judgment. $300 for peace. A small price. Work became my refuge again. I coded through the noise in my head, line by line rebuilding myself. A coworker noticed. You seem somewhere else, she said gently. Maybe talk to someone? Therapy. The word scared me, but I went. Dr. Marilyn Ross. Soft-spoken, eyes that saw through the noise. Why are you here? She asked. I told her everything. The childhood invisibility. The money. The mockery. The night of the toast. She listened, nodding, then asked one question. What do you want now? No one had ever asked me that. Not once. Session by session, she helped me peel off years of guilt. She said, you can't control how they treat you, but you can choose how to respond. So I chose myself. I hiked through Asheville's quiet trails, breathing air that didn't hurt. I wrote in a journal. Not about them, about me. When I came back to Raleigh, the world hadn't changed. But I had. My phone stayed silent, and for once that silence felt like peace. Because real confrontation isn't shouting back, it's finally refusing to be the one who breaks just to keep others whole. Healing wasn't loud. It was quiet mornings. Black coffee. Long walks without checking my phone. I stopped waiting for apologies. Stopped explaining why I left. Peace doesn't need permission. Work thrived. My manager promoted me to lead developer. The title felt less like validation and more like proof I'd survived. I started Code Forward, a free boot camp for young women in Raleigh. Teaching them to code, to build futures from lines of logic, the way I built mine. Watching their faces light up when their first program ran, it healed something in me. Mom called once saying, "We're proud of you." I smiled, thanked her, but didn't linger. Dad texted, simple and kind. Vanessa stayed silent. And that was okay. I wasn't chasing their approval anymore. I was building my own life, brick by brick, line by line. Stephen, the man I met at work, became my quiet constant. We cooked, laughed, and built a home that felt like peace, not performance. One evening, under the same kind of lanterns I once hung in their backyard, I realized something simple. Family isn't who shares your last name. It's who shows up when the lights go out. To anyone listening, if you've ever been made to feel invisible, remember this. You don't need to earn love. You are enough as you are. Share your story in the comments. Someone out there needs to hear it. If you felt my journey, give this story a like, not for me, but for everyone who's finally learning to choose themselves. And if you want more stories of standing up, breaking free, and finding peace, hit subscribe. Stay with me. We're rewriting what family means. Because sometimes walking away isn't losing them, it's finding yourself.